Top 5 Memcoins in my portfolio. Today we will talk about large Memcoins that I have been holding in my portfolio for a long time, for which I have not yet released, and I will tell you when I plan to release them and what to expect for these projects. So the first Memcoin is of course Pippi, but this is the main Memcoin of this season, the frog, which greatly pleased those who entered it at an early stage. We call the early stage before it began to show the first growth at the end of February 2024. I personally typed this Memcoin in August 2023, wrote about it on my Telegram channel, that I was typing this Memcoin in a long sleep. At the moment when this was happening, there was a deep bearishness, and in general, most people did not even suspect that it was possible to enter Memcoins for a long time, because many considered it a scam, a temporary story. And in fact, the mem season was always the apogee in the alt season, and this meant that everything now the markets will fall. But the market has changed. My prediction, my bet that memes will perform the whole next cycle, was justified. And Pepe, along with other memes, showed very good growth. I gained it in the region of capitalization of $300 million. Then I bought it in the region of 350. That is, I gained a position by a ladder, that is, in parts. And now we see a capitalization of about $10 billion, which is about 30 times from my entry. I believe that we will see further growth in this project. If we take the history of this project as a whole, my team and I noticed it as soon as it appeared on the first day in April of the 23rd year. But then we didn't realize how much it could grow, and we didn't expect it to get to the Binance Tier 1 exchange in 3 weeks. And after this Memcoin got there, it dropped significantly by about 80% in price, and we began to gradually select it. Next, at the beginning of 2024, I'm posting a meme issue where I talk about Pippi, where I set the first goal of $10 billion. As a result, we reached this goal during 2024, but there were comments from people who said that this was impossible. As a result, the result is on the scoreboard. Later, after studying the project during 2024, I realized that the goal of 10 billion is not the end, and I set myself a goal of 20 to 30 billion, where I will unload the bulk of the bag. Accordingly, as of the current date, I believe that the target of 20 to 30 yards is where we will sell the bulk of the position. For me, this will be an exit point of about 60 to 80x, depending on the exact price I will sell at. Why do I think that Pippi will continue to grow? Yes, of course, I no longer expect hundreds of thousands of X's in this asset, but a few X's from the current point is quite likely, since Pippi shields a large number of inflows. If we switch from slang, inflows, or shilling, it's crypto bloggers who talk about the coin. That is, they are shilling, showing, advertising to one degree or another. The next growth factor is that Pippi was listed on Coinbase at the end of 2024. Coinbase is the top 3 exchange in the world with the highest average check, but in fact it is mainly Americans who trade there. Americans are the richest people on the planet. And when we see that some Memcoin is being listed on Coinbase, it's really a very serious big green flag, because a large number of American retailers find out about this coin and buy it on their favorite exchange. Pippi was also listed on Moonshot and Robinhood. These are large applications where people can buy crypto directly from their bank card. This significantly attracts a new audience that does not exist in the crypto at all, and it's these people who are starting to pump the price from the current values. If you look at the Coinbase chart, for people who see Pippi for the first time, they think that he started his life there in November 2024. In fact, it has been trading for almost 2 years, and people don't see this big growth before their purchase. That is, they think that the coin can still grow tens, hundreds of times, given that, like most memcoins, Pippi has 0, a dot, a lot of zeros, and only then the price. That is, psychologically, people have a feeling in their heads that this coin can close zeros, that is, grow 10 times if 1 zero closes, or if 2 zeros close 100 times. For us, people who have been in the market for a long time, it seems ridiculous. But for beginners, it seems obvious that the zeros will close, and the price will be, for example, 1 cent or $1. So my first current goal is a capitalization of 20 to 30 billion. The second goal is 42 billion. The third is 69 billion, and the fourth is 100 billion. Why these numbers? 20 to 30 billion is, in principle, an adequate goal at which I believe it is worth selling the bulk of my position, since I have already been holding this project for a year and a half. And for me, 60 to 80 will be, in fact, royal. I think that at the moment, so far, no coin for a significant amount has shown such growth. 4269 is already a bit from the field of conspiracy theory. We look at the issue of PP and see 42 quintillion, 69 trillion, many coins. That is, they immediately indicated 4269, and these are numbers. They are essentially conspiratorial. Someone calls them magical. They are often mentioned in the crypt, and maybe the command will pull exactly to these values. And in order not to miss this growth, which is possible, I put some percentage after the sale, for example, 10 or 20%. And I will make it if Pepe goes down to 42, 69, or even 100. If Pepe goes down to 100 billion, that is, there will be some real madness. Then we can even see that Pepe will not only bypass all Memcoins by capitalization, such as Shiba, but even maybe bypass Doge if Doge does not update its past hype. The second Memcoin in question is Bitcoin Harry Potter, Obama Sonic 10 Inu. I'm already saying this as a tongue twister, even joking that it might be possible to wrap up the name of this project in NFT, as I say. The point is that a very strong community has been formed in this project. The team and I have also seen this project since the very start in May of the 23rd year. We even went into a small part. I can say I flipped. I flipped, which means I bought and sold quickly, made a quick profit for a small amount, because I did not think that this project would develop to such a size. But later, a few months later, this project broke through the 100 million cap. I paid attention to it, and my team and I saw that there were really strong wallets there, a strong community, and a narrative that evokes a lot of emotions in the community. I wrote about this asset back in the fall of 23. I was recruiting myself at the end of summer, autumn. I was recruiting into a portfolio. The average entry point for capitalization was $100 million. This is the price of 0.1. Well, in general, most people found out about it from my Telegram channel, YouTube channel on this capitalization. At the time of recording, it was about volatile, 2 to 4x. We understand that it did not fall. It grew, but it did not grow as we expect. Because if we compare it with Pippi, then Pippi gave a lot more X. But if you look at the graph, it looks like a cardiogram for the first year. And in the last few months, it has begun to look not like a cardiogram, but like a straight spring. That is, the spring is charged for growth. Why did this happen? In my opinion, the first reason is that Sonic, or Bitcoin for short, the Bitcoin ticker, was listed first on Bybit Futures and then on Bybit Spot. In September 2024, I attended the largest crypto conference called Token 2049. It was held in Singapore, and there were a large number of side events. That is, the projects were doing their own parties, meeting with the community, telling the news, including Sonic doing his meetup. I was at this event and got to know the C-level of the Bybit exchange there, and the C-level of a major exchange will never go to some unknown memcoin. Accordingly, it was clear that most likely this memcoin would enter the stock exchange, which in principle happened. In general, when I first mentioned this project, people saw drawdowns of up to 40, up to $50 million in capitalization and peaks of more than 400 million. That is, there may even be 8 to 10x volatility for someone. I think this project is very underestimated. Its growth potential is much higher than we see now. The first goal that I set is $1 billion capitalization. That is, the price is $1. As for why the chart began to look like a spring, since a large number of traders from Bybit and the market maker joined there, and trading volumes increased there many times. That is, they do not allow the price to fall too much or rise too much. They accumulate assets and prepare a schedule for mastering the next floor. I think the first goal is $1 billion, followed by $10 billion and $17 billion. I believe that if the project proves itself, yes, it will indeed be possible to see a very good result in the long-term construction, but in fact we will see how it will develop, because the project itself is crazy and their community is frenzied. The potential is really very powerful. Again, everything I'm telling you here is just my portfolio. Don't think it's going to grow 100%. Check, analyze, and only then make a decision as part of your strategy. As you already understood, I share my deals on my Telegram channel, on which I also gave Pepe 300 million caps, which is now showing about 30x there. And in order not to miss what I buy in my portfolio, go to my Telegram channel, subscribe, rate, and stay informed. Relevant news, because that's where I conduct live broadcasts with answers to market analysis questions, record voice podcasts, and share analytics. The third mob project is a cat with big green glasses, and we are very pleased with it because we recruited it in the trade club in the spring of 2024 for a trading position worth $150 to $200 million. We didn't realize at the time how much he could grow, but as we moved forward in 2024, we noticed that he was supported by a large number of people, commensurate with how many people Pepe supports. And we understand that upside for MOG is several $1 billion of capitalization. I believe that it can reach the cap of $5 billion and even higher, but in the region of $5 billion, it would not be a mistake to unload the bulk of the bag. Moreover, over the past few months, it has been able to bounce back very well on all the straights. That is, the strength of the buyer is visible as it drags this project higher and prepares to distribute it to retailers at high prices. Therefore, after we noticed that the cat has a very good upside, I loaded up more money there and kept him in a long sleep. I also showed this project in my Telegram channel in the summer of 2024 and said that it has an upside of several X's with a cap of $500 million. When I showed it, I believed that it could reach a capitalization of $1.5 to $2 billion. That is, for people it is 3 to 4x. But of course, not for $10 to $20, but for a large amount, because it is an asset with good liquidity. That is, it's already like a major altcoin. As a result, by the end of 2024, it will break through the $1 billion cap, and my goal is to unload the bulk of about $5 billion. Moreover, I admit that it may cost $7, $8, or $10 billion, and therefore I will leave the so-called 10 to 20% moon back on the moon. It will reach, I will earn no more, I will just sell a small part cheaper, but I will pull out the main bag in the region of 5 yards. That is, the listed projects are not Memcoins, which will give hundreds of thousands of X's, which are trumpeted in some public places and say that you can change your life there by going for $100 and so on. That is, there are alcohols whose usefulness is in the form of a fundamental, we call it a memental, that is, Memcoins that have already strengthened, which are invested in Tier 1. Exchanges that have good volumes and liquidity, and this allows you to upload large amounts there compared to small memes, which can give both large X's and completely scratch off. The fourth project of BOMI, or in English BOM, the Book of Memes, the Book of Memcoins. This is a bonded project that was released in March of the 24th year. What is bonded labor? This means that a group of individuals owns the main issue and manipulates this asset. For us, this is both a plus and a minus. Why did I decide to take it into a long-term portfolio? There are several reasons. First, there is a very strong so-called mafia behind him, and we see that more than 50% of supply belongs to Binance, and all this is stored on a cold wallet. Second, when this project came out, it got to Binance in 2 days, and that was nonsense. I don't know any Memcoins that get to the largest exchange on the second day after launch. And after that, the project started to fall, and it has been falling for about 9 months. We went into a bombing campaign with a capitalization of about $500 million. I believe that it is adequate to set a goal for unloading $3 to $5 billion. That is, I will be completely happy to see 6 to 10x in this asset, and most likely, maybe I'll leave 10% for Tuzeman if it still breaks through the cap of $7, $8, or even $10 billion. And of course, it's worth adding that Bomi's picture is also a frog, just like Pippi, only more gangly, bruised, and hooligan. Of course, there is no reason to buy Memcoin because of the picture, but it is worth noting that this is a narrative that also matters in this cycle. The fifth APU project. APU is also a frog, but in fact it is a frog portfolio of Memcoins. What is interesting about APU? The fact that even before the $50 million capitalization, there was already strong marketing. Times Square was littered with advertising banners. This means that the team spares no expense. Of course, this is not an indicator that this coin will grow, but the fact that the team is focusing on attracting a new audience is a green flag. And by the way, Vanik, this is a large fund that invests in cryptocurrencies, made a Memcoin index, and what do you think? He posted a post with Apu, not with Pepe, not with Bami, not with any other Memcoin, but with Apu. These guys understand what they are doing, and it also has a positive effect on marketing and on attracting a new audience. My first goal for this project is $1 billion in capitalization, and then we'll see how this project develops. We have been following him since the spring of 2024. Let's see how he will manifest himself in 2025. I remind you that in my Telegram channel, I show projects that I visit. The information there is more up to date, and in case of growth, you will see more X's on your portfolio. Don't miss this opportunity. I'll leave a link at the bottom. Go straight ahead and subscribe.